What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 9 of my reviewing and ranking King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard studio albums. So we're on album number 9. This is Flying Microtonal Banana, subtitled Explorations into Microtonal Tuning. It's hard to say. The End of a Long Day, Volume 1. Came out in 2017. The first of 5 they would release that year. What a year. And in this one, they're exploring microtonal music, sort of, you know, they have an entire, what is a collection of instruments called? An entire array. It's not an array. It's not a cache. They have a whole collection of instruments which are specifically designed for microtuning. So you're getting in those notes that are not part of the Western scale that we're also familiar with. And so they're exploring those sort of tonalities. And I do think that if you didn't know this was an exploration in microtonal music, and it was King Gizzard, you go, oh, this is just King Gizzard with sort of a quirkier sound, a weirder sound, a stranger sound. It would make sense anyways. I don't think there's anything where you're like, whoa, that is so, like, it's not in any way going to disturb you. It just gives it a different, probably a feel, a sound, a flavor that you're not as familiar with. I'm not as familiar with because they're using, they're using notes and playing scales that aren't part of Western popular culture. I know they have, I think all of their instruments, they've redesigned. They have microtonal guitars, bass, harmonica, that's all. Yeah, another microtonal bass. Everybody who's playing a 6-string or 4-string is microtonal. The harmonica is. There is an instrument. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the zurna. Don't know what a zurna is. Look it up right now. It looks like it's the zurna. It looks like it's a horn instrument. It kind of sounds like a bagpipe at times. I'm assuming it's the zurna. So there's that little bagpipey flavor that seeps in every once in a while. And I don't think you need to be familiar with, it's King Gizzard psych music with just sort of different flavors. Pretty fantastic album. 9 songs. It's 41 minutes long. It's just the perfect amount of time. Starts off with the longest song on the album, Rattlesnake. And Rattlesnake really almost kind of sounds like a continuation of their previous album, which was Nana Gun Infinity. You open the door. I mean, even after Rattlesnake started, if they dropped a Nana Gun Infinity, you open the door, you'd be like, oh yeah, this makes sense. It's the continuous flow. It's got a very sort of like kraut rock, King Gizzard, just that rhythmic, steady drive in which they're layering all kinds of psych weirdness on top of it and under it. Yeah, there's a weird kind of middle section that gets kind of weird. Throughout this entire album, there's a lot of like sort of proggy guitar lines, which are just like very like, very up and down the scale type things, very like, serpentine type things, labyrinthian lines. They drop them a lot of times in the solo sections, where the solo sections feel like these orchestrated prog things played by guitar and bass, and like these really neat runs that they're doing. There's a weird little middle section in the middle of Rattlesnake. But yeah, just a really great, we're jumping right into the middle of a jam type opening track in Rattlesnake. Yeah, just great start. Melting, a couple of these songs have really nice sort of extended drum intros where like the drums will just sort of establish this rhythm for like, I don't know, like 8 bars or 16 bars without any other instruments coming in. And then once we have sort of what the vibe is going to be, then everybody else comes in. Melting is one of those, has a really nice drum intro. Then we get some sort of like murky psych rock in here. Really nice key action, just this like repetitive sort of psych key sound. The way Mackenzie sings melting, I think there's like 9 syllables in the song. It's like melting. It's nowhere near as dramatic or staccato as I just did it, but melting is like, it sounds like the word is melting. It's well done, and it fits perfectly within the song. I do want to say, and I need to come up with a term for this, because now that it's been on my mind in terms of, I think I dropped this with the Les Claypool. I did Claypool Lennon Delirium video a couple days ago. They have for the heat the Scoville scale, right? How hot a pepper is, right? And it's an exponential scale. But I want to develop, or I want a term, maybe it exists. It's the baked potato scale, maybe, based on the book movie thing, where movies. But now that recreational chemistry is legalized in a lot of states, and you can recreationally chemistry yourself legally, I think some music is better for that. King Gizzard music is amazing for that. And this is one of those albums where a lot of these King Gizzard albums, especially Nonagon Infinity, several of the last ones, immediately grabbed my attention and I thought were great. And then over time, they still immediately grab my attention and I still think they're great, just because the music has an immediacy to it and an urgency to it and a drive, and it has yet to wear off its charms. This one has moments like that. There were songs where from the beginning it was like, wow. Rattlesnake is one of them. Open Water, the third song, which is just awesome. Another really great drum intro. Kind of squirrely, tight little riff that kicks in there. This is one of those songs that kind of stays on the same wheel and then just feels scarier and scarier and more intimidating as the song goes on, because you're in open water, and open water's pretty terrifying, when you can't see land. I've been in open water many times living off the coast of California. Used to go fishing. I didn't like to fish, but my grandfather did. But it's got a really sort of dark, tense, but energetic vibe that feels like I'm not happy to be here, but there's a lot going on and my energy's running high. But anyways, I was talking about the Scoville Sale for recreational chemistry. This is one of those albums which it didn't immediately grab me, but songs like Rattlesnake and Open Water did. But this is such a great headphone listen. The layers, it just seems like the layers of the music, because that drive is not always this krautrocky and sort of pedal to the metal thing, it seems like they're layering things at a much more complete, thorough, thoughtful, headphone conscious. Like, it just seems the production on this one has stepped up as far as the layers go, and like there really so many guitar sounds and just things happening in it. The psych immersion factor on this album, I think, is maybe a little more. This is one of those slow burner type albums where the more you listen to it, the more you're like, oh my god, there's some interesting, great stuff going on here. But Open Water, Sleep Drifter is fourth, a little more melodic, a little more comforting, but still it's King Gizzard, so there's a lot going on. About midway through this song, this sort of like new groove just sort of emerges. Sounds very much like Noir, or new, N-E-U, exclamation point, early krautrock band. It has a very much one of their very just kind of very simple, basic, just that krautrocky and drive. Kind of emerges in the middle of Sleep Drifter. A Billabong Valley, kind of a little sad, remorseful almost song. Kind of the lyrics sort of revisit sort of what they were doing with their Western album, Eyes Like the Sky. Eyes Like the Sky. That's not what it's called. It is called Eyes Like the Sky, right? Really bad with names. But that album of theirs, which is a really good album, Eyes Like the Sky, but it has that sort of storytelling vibe to it. But I think it's maybe modernized, but it still feels very Western. The music is a little more not as Sergio Leone Westerny as that is. But there is kind of this mourning in this. There just seems like this wearied, almost a wearied, this like the lyrics are just imbuing this entire song with this weariness. Anoxia, kind of a prog, pop, rock, slightly funky type, kind of a bigger sounding song, some really nice riffs running through it. Doom City starts off with this like doom light vibe that maybe feels like they could lean into it and become a little bit heavier, but then quickly shifts gears to something a little more like skittish and upbeat and tight, but with like a krautrock groove, and then we kind of flirt with that doom light section for a little while. I think Anoxia and Doom City are maybe the weakest part of this album. They're still good songs and they offer some great moments, but I think we're maybe a little bit of like, okay, maybe a little bit of a lull, but then we hit Nuclear Fusion. We get this really great sort of proggy opening, and then we get this weird quirky groove that pops in. Then we get this weird, we get these weird melodic lines that are over, and we have this weird groove that kind of goes through, but it's kind of buried underneath all this other weird stuff, and then the weirdness kind of returns at the end, and the nuclear fusion is just kind of all over the place, but, you know, in a fun, cohesive way. And then we close out with Flying Microtonal Banana, the title track, which was named after that guitar right there, which I think is the micro-toned guitar that was used for the album, but that's Mackenzie's guitar is where they call that the Flying Microtonal Banana, so I'm assuming it's the microtonal guitar, and they named it after that. But it's a nice sort of instrumental. It's got a very bagpipey melodic thing carrying the lead melody. Kind of reminds me of Teenage Fan Club's, I think it's Is This Music, right? Is that the closing track off Bandwagon-esque? Kind of reminds me of that song. It's almost got that Scottish, British lilt to it. Australia is connected to them, so that makes sense. But yeah, it reminds me very much of that. But yeah, 41 really, really solid minutes of psych music with, you know, this added twist of it being microtonal, but I don't think that could in any way affect anybody's enjoyment of this album, if not make some songs sound a little bit, you know, just new and exciting because they're not familiar to our ears. Like, I want to use the word exotic, but I don't even know what that word really means musically. But, you know, just not something we're used to listening to. But it works. It all works fantastic. Yeah, it's a great album. Where would I rank it, though, among the other 8 I've already done? I have it at number 4. Those top 3 are like perfect, right? Just kind of perfect. I think maybe when this one first came out, I probably would have had it down at 7, like right in front of Paper Mache, but behind Quarters. But this is one of those that the more I listen to it, when I want to like kind of chill out and really just focus on the music and like enjoy the sounds, this is one that kind of, I've really grown to love it a lot more. Not sure it can pass any album that has the opening track on Float Along. I am so blanking on names of songs right now. Pill, Head On Pill. Yeah, not sure it can top an album that has that. And I mean, yeah, but it's at 4. But these albums are all fantastic. Even 12 Bar Brews is a great, great album. I'm ranking greatness here. This is what greatness ranked looks like. And I have it at number 4. All right. That's what I got right now. Thanks for watching. Love this band. I'm really, really enjoying doing this. Being able to, like, I don't know, sort of organize why, like, maybe come to, like, explicit terms about why I like this band. And have to try to, like, just put it into words. I don't know. It's kind of fun. But thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. If you do, go listen to this album. It's fantastic. Subscribe, like. Let me know anything I might have missed out that you might know about this band, or this album, or microtonality in general. But yeah, thanks. Subscribe, like, share, comment, do those things, and go listen to Rattlesnake. Go listen to Rattlesnake. Peace. Talk to you later.